Traditions. Traditions can blind us from the truth and cause us to wander in the myopic fog of man-made religious systems for an entire lifetime. Many of the traditions of the Western Gentile Christian Church are merely adapted pagan sun god worship rituals inherited from our ancestors. They were forced to compromise with the Roman Emperor Constantine or lose their life for refusing to bow. Most of these traditions were imported directly from Babylon. In fact, there's not a single religion practiced upon the face of the earth today that has not been polluted by Nimrod's rebellion against the one true God. I'm Michael Rood. Prepare for a rude awakening. Ask the man or woman on the street, how many wise men came to present gifts to Jesus? Where did they find him? And how was he dressed? As you can see, the common answer is 3 wise men found the newborn babe wrapped in swaddling clothes lying in a manger. That, however, is not the testimony of the Scriptures. We read in the King James Version of Matthew's account that an undesignated number of wise men, in the Greek magi, came to the house where they found the young child, Yahshua, living with his mother Miriam and Joseph. In the Gospel of Luke, we read that only the shepherds arrived at the manger. Sorry for this rude interruption, but Yahshua was actually born on the first day of the Feast of Tabernacles, the 15th day of the 7th month on the biblical calendar, which always occurs in autumn, not December 25th when the pagan sun gods were said to be born. His birth was an intermediate fulfillment of the Feast of Sukkot, or mangers. It is the same word in the Hebrew language. Joseph was required to live in a sukkah or tabernacle during the entire 7-day feast. Miriam, his pregnant wife, was not required to live in the sukkah, but the Bethlehem bed and breakfast was completely booked. So she joined her husband in the sukkah on the first day of the Feast of Sukkot and delivered her firstborn son in the sukkah. That is the moment when the Word was made flesh and Sukkoted, or tabernacled. In the King James Version, dwelt among us. To suggest that a lonesome trio, laden with treasure, crossed the torrid sands of the desert outside the protection of a large armed caravan exposes a lack of sound thinking. They would not have been wise men, but fools to venture unaccompanied through the wilderness. These magi, a common term for Chaldean astronomers, were the descendants of the very Jewish astronomers Daniel trained and entrusted with his treasure. Following Daniel's instruction, the astronomers watched the skies for more than 500 years, searching for the great sign in the heavens that finally occurred on Tishri 1, at the end of the 4th millennium. The constellation Betula, the Virgin, clothed with the setting sun, the first sliver of the new moon beneath her feet, and in the 12 stars above her head, the planet Hatzadik, the righteous, came into conjunction with the star Hamelech, the king, in the constellation of Ariel, the Lion of Judah. On the first day of the month of Tishri, on Yom Teruah, the Day of Trumpets, this one-time celestial alignment announced the upcoming birth of the Melech Tzaddik, the righteous King of Kings, the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Daniel had made provision for the Messiah, and now, 500 years later, the executors of his will brought their treasure-laden caravan into the city gates of Jerusalem with the proclamation, "We have come to worship He who is born King of the Jews." Herod sent them to the neighboring village of Bethlehem, where the prophet Micah said the Mashiach would be born. The very night that Joseph was commanded in a vision to take the child and his mother and flee into Egypt, the night that Herod's orders to execute all male babies was issued, Daniel's treasure was delivered right to their door. Think about it. Joseph was so impoverished that he could only afford the poor man's sacrifice of 2 pigeons at the child's dedication, 40 days after his birth. Certainly, Joseph was not yet in possession of any gold, frankincense, or myrrh. But approximately a year and a half later, On the very night they had to escape into Egypt, the provision for their flight and sustenance arrived by special courier. That provision had been made 500 years earlier and prepared for the moment it was needed. The Almighty is the master of drama. When there appears to be no hope, His salvation is revealed. Truth is always more exciting than fictitious traditions and fairy tales based on ignorance of the Scriptures. Leave your Western Gentile mentality behind as we explore the Bible from a Jewish or Hebrew perspective. This is the paradigm shift for which you have been waiting an entire lifetime.